Hey guys, Chauncey Phillips here. Welcome to my August 10th DVD update. I talk about all the DVDs and Blu-rays I've gotten over the last 2 weeks. There's a bunch of real cool stuff in this update. I want to make sure and let you guys know. I've talked about this a lot lately. Don't forget to set your DVRs. Tune in August 22nd at 9/8 Central on Sci-Fi Channel to see Ghost Shark, the new killer shark film which I'm in. Definitely look forward to hearing what you guys think of that one. I'm talking about that a bunch up until the air date. And as I always say too, if you enjoy these DVD updates, definitely leave a comment below. Give the video a thumbs up. Share it around. Love to hear what you guys think. Try and get back to all the comments and let me know any suggestions too for future titles you'd like me to talk about in future updates. Anything like that. Any comments or suggestions or anything. Now the first one I got from New Video is the film Wild Bill. And the main kid in this film is in the new film We Are the Millers, and he did it, in this movie, pretty much carries the film for the most part. Did a really good job in this. The movie's about the character Bill, who, was a father of these two kids. He was in jail for like 10 years or something like that, a number of years, and has just gotten out. Goes back to where his family was living and finds that the two kids, the one is 15, the other is like 13, something like that, and they're living there by themselves. The mother has run off. She's doing her own thing, left these kids to fend for themselves. The one son has to get a job to have any money. They're kind of squatting in the house. He comes back and intends on just coming back and immediately leaving and going off because he's always his whole life has pretty much been in jail, doesn't have any responsibility, doesn't know how to take care of kids, and when he comes back and finds that his kids are there by himself, if he doesn't stay, the kids are going to get taken away by social services, so he has to stay there and kind of until the social services leave. He has to stay there and pose as the father. But it's about him, like, growing up and about, all the kind of things that he's learning and helping his family along and how the one son doesn't want him there. And I don't know, it's just a very well done. It's one of those really positive, heartfelt kind of movies. I just thought it was a really, really good one. Would highly recommend it. And I had no idea, too, until I saw this, that the kid from We Are the Millers was British, because his accent is so spot on in We Are the Millers. Like, sometimes when people cover it up and stuff, you can kind of hear it. With him, you wouldn't even know, that he was doing an American accent. Now, the next one from New Video as well is Absence. I think I'm saying that right. Absence. And this is a found footage one. I watch a lot of found footage movies. And this is actually one of the better ones in a long time. Because there's been some of these that I watch and I'm just like, oh, another found footage one. This one actually was kind of interesting. And it was actually the acting in it was a little bit more convincing than some of the other ones. That's what I really thought about it, was much more convincing movie. It's about this woman. It starts off with her and her husband, and she's 6 or 7 months pregnant, and she's in the hospital, and the baby has disappeared. She's no longer pregnant, and she has no idea what's happened. The police are wondering what's going on. The whole town, it's all over the news. Everyone knows about this. They think she killed the baby. The husband doesn't know what happens. The police, everyone's concerned. They're all looking at her bad, so she ends up going off to get away with her husband and her brother to go out into the cabin where I believe they used to go as kids, or where the husband used to go as a kid. They go out there. It's kind of like, the brother, her brother is kind of filming the whole thing, trying to show what kind of his sister really is, to kind of do a documentary on her because the way the media is talking about her and things like that. So it's him filming this thing, but when they're out there, she starts getting nosebleeds, weird things are happening. It's one of those kind of ones where, the majority of the big things happen later on in it, but there's some really creepy stuff in it. I just thought this was a really pretty well done one, and it really is carried by the acting, and that's really what made it interesting. And it also has a making of featurette on this, and also the Wild Bill. It's one thing I wanted to mention too. It's kind of a fun thing. It has a making of, but also has a thing when they talk to the actors about some of their favorite movies, and that's always kind of cool, to hear what actors what some of their favorite movies are. And the next one I got from Disney is the Muppet movie. This is the original Muppet movie. I have not seen this one in probably I don't even know, 20 years? This is one of the ones I have not seen in such a long time. I don't think I ever had a DVD of this one. I think the one that I watched the most was the one in New York, I believe. This one, though, was really well done. Paul Williams did a lot of the music for this. The Rainbow Connection song. This is basically about kind of like the origin to the whole Muppets, and about Kermit out in the swamp, ends up meeting this producer who says, oh, that they're auditioning frogs for this new show, and he gets the idea of going to Hollywood to be famous. It's kind of him along the way, going there, meeting Fozzie, meeting all the Muppets, and all the kind of things going along. Why there's this guy who's opening up a frog lake stands all over the places, and he wants to have Kermit be the spokesmodel for the franchise in the commercials, talking about eating frog legs when Kermit's a frog himself. And it's kind of like that. It's kind of the whole thing going on. It's just a really fun, and one thing I always liked about the Muppet movies is they always had kind of a weirdness to them, like some weird kind of characters, weird kind of things going on. There's kind of like you could, they were having fun with it. It was not supposed to be serious at all. It was supposed to be just sort of silly. That's why I thought the new Muppets movie kind of carried that over. I'm interested in seeing what the new one with Ricky Gervais is going to be like. But the last one I really did think was a fun one and had the same vibe of going into songs and things like that. And this has one thing on here that's really pretty cool, which is test footage with Jim Henson and them, like with the Muppets going out into certain places, like out in the trees and like in the woods and things like that, doing like camera tests for how the Muppets will react on camera and things like that. That was pretty fun to see. And it has a couple other different features on here, trailers, bonus shorts and things like that. But it's just a really fun one. I'm looking forward to two. I saw they're putting out, I think Muppets Take Manhattan, or one of them is coming out next, I think in December, I think. The next one I got from Anchor Bay is Scary Movie 5, which is not an absolutely perfect movie, but it is a fun movie. The stuff that I really liked the most in this was the stuff with Snoop Dogg. The Snoop Dogg scenes with Mac Miller were really pretty ridiculous, with him traipsing through the woods and kind of like spoofing on himself. And I like that stuff. But this movie was actually shot originally as mainly a Paranormal Activity spoof. Then they went back and did major reshoots with adding the mama element. So it's kind of interesting when you look at it, that in some of the extended scenes, that you can kind of look at the original scenes and how it originally went. But the basic idea is about the two kids, this couple end up Charlie Sheen's kids end up getting found, and they end up taking the kids. Like I said, it's the mama aspect of this couple having to take care of these kids and all the weird things happening in the house. But it's kind of a mesh between the mama element and then pieces of the Paranormal Activity stuff that they used. It still works. The way they cut it together, they really did, get it to work, I thought. I like the spoof in here, too, of Evil Dead. There were some pretty funny things they were doing with that. But this is a fun one. It is too bad, though, that Anna Faris didn't do anything in this one, because I know it was kind of rumored. But it's a fun one. This is the extended version. The main stuff I saw extended, I don't want to ruin it, but there was like a couple, like one scene that goes on a lot longer. One of the sex scenes, I'll say. And it was pretty funny, the kind of stuff they added to it. That was like one of the main things I had noticed. And then a couple of the dialogue was different in it as well. It was definitely more on the R-rated side. The next one from Anchor Bay as well is the film No One Lives. And this is a pretty violent, crazy film. I had not heard much about this one, but it was really pretty good. Now, the one thing about this is, you cannot say much about this. Even though you find out something within 20 minutes of the movie, it's not really advertised like that, so I don't really want to ruin it. Although I kind of picked up on it, in the first minute, that what was going on. But the movie opens with this girl running off. She's running from somebody, gets, in a rope and in a trap, and then she carves her name in the thing. It's basically about these people trying to find this woman. The girl is played by the one who was in the newest Silent Hill film. And it's basically about this couple that's going off on a trip, and they're staying at this hotel, and then it's about this group of these criminals that are stealing from this mansion house. They believe the owners are away. The owners come back in the middle of them stealing all these things. Then they end up killing them, going off on the run. And the one brother's crazy and gets the idea of kidnapping the couple that's on the road. But then it ends up being something very a bad decision on what they did, and kind of about the consequences of what they did, and kind of like the twist is on them. And that's basically what it is. And there's some crazy traps in this thing. Some really kind of like Home Alone, going like violent Home Alone traps, and this crazy thing of this guy being held upside down. They're into this like this thing like farm equipment thing. There's a whole bunch of that crazy stuff in this. It was one, too, that I'm surprised it got away with the R rating, because it was really some pretty gritty, violent stuff in this. Bunch of other weird stuff, but like I said, it's not one that I can say anything too much about without ruining it, but I would highly recommend it, though. The next one from Anchor Bay is The Sapphires, and this is another one I had not heard too much about. It has Chris O'Dowd, who recently was in Frankie Goes Boom, which I really liked that one, in the second Knocked Up film. This is 40. He's really pretty good, and this movie's about, takes place in the 60s, and about the Aboriginals, I think that's how you say it, in Australia, like the native people to Australia, and back then they were kind of treated terribly. It was really terrible the way they were treated, like the people who were from there, and everybody kind of looked down on them and things like that. And it was about this contest going on to get people to sing in Iraq. And it's these four sisters, two sisters and then two cousins, I believe, who end up getting managed by Chris O'Dowd's character, who sees talent in them, who has trained them to get them to, Vietnam. There's some really sad stuff in it, too. Like, I don't know, it was a really well-made movie, well-acted. And if you like Chris O'Dowd, which, this is like, I think this is one of the, he's only been in like 2 or 3 ones I know where he like carries the movie, really carries this movie well. Very likable actor too, really do like the guy. And like I said too, he was really good in Frankie Goes Boom if you haven't seen that one. But definitely would recommend checking this out. And it's an interesting thing about Vietnam, like one of the kind of stories that they don't talk about much about it. This one I ended up, luckily, was able to order from Screen Archives before it sold out. The thing with that site is, you've got to be like, I was just like thinking, I remember hearing this is coming out in August, was lucky enough to check, and it was, and it's Body Double, which is the Brian De Palma film, which is really one of my like top favorite films. I absolutely love this film. Would highly recommend everyone check this out. The Blu-ray though now is really going to be tough to get. I think you can get it on eBay. It's like going for like 3 times the price. It was $30 on the site. It's up to like $90. I've seen some of it over. You might be able to catch it though, with somebody that's selling it for, if the people who are like on the bids for it, you might be able to get a little less. This is just a really good Brian De Palma film, really hard to explain, so I don't want to get into too much with it, but it has an isolated commentary track. And it has 4 featurettes, which is weird because they look like they were produced back for when the DVD was out, but I don't think they were on the DVD, because I looked at the DVD, they weren't there. So I'm guessing they were for like an international release, or maybe like the Laserdisc or something. If anybody knows what they were from, because I can't tell for sure, but this is one I absolutely love, especially the music in it. The next one from Paramount, CBS Paramount, is Star Trek Enterprise: The Complete Second Season. This is a Blu-ray of it, and this is the I have know tons and tons about the Star Trek series, but this is the prequel to all the ones. So before the one with William Shatner, this is the prequel to that. So the very beginning story. The thing about this show too was it's shot far more like a movie in the style of the cinematography. This one's shot in widescreen. Definitely has the feel to like what the new movies have. More of a cinematic feel than the other ones, which have a little bit more of a TV kind of production values to it, which I really do like though. But like with the effects and things like that, they're 2002 style like CGI, what they had back then. But for the time, they were really pretty decent for what there was at the time, especially for TV. This is a really fun one, about them going on adventures. The one I really liked on it was the one when they went to when their ship got damaged and this other ship came to fix it, and there was all these kind of weird things going on and people were going missing and things like that. But this has a whole bunch of features on here, 3-part documentary about the show, 7 of the cast members talking about the show, commentaries. The one thing too that is kind of funny about this show is the theme song. It has this theme song that doesn't seem like it really fits to it, because it's more like a country kind of song. It's like, we have dreams of the heart coming at you, damn from going to fall apart. It's like, I don't know, it's just like this song. it doesn't really seem like it fits to like a Star Trek thing. The next one I got from Millennium. This is one that I was really looking forward to seeing. Really did like it, but I've seen some really mixed opinions about it, and don't see what the people's problem is with this. And it's the John Travolta, Robert De Niro film, Killing Season. And I mean, John Travolta in this is a kind of crazy character with this kind of dyed beard that he has, and his hair cut real short. He's really pretty creepy, but it's basically about John Travolta is, this guy who's like lives out and kind of like escaping his life and living out in the middle of the woods, kind of, taking pictures of birds, kind of just sort of not really paying attention to his family. His sons, just had a child and wants, him to come to the christening and things like that. He doesn't want to go, so he's out there. John Travolta's character ends up showing up there, out in the middle of the woods. And when John Travolta's character shows up, when Robert De Niro is going out to get some things he needs to bring back, like go to the store, ends up getting help from John Travolta's character. It's just something weird going on about him, and I don't want to ruin too much about it, but it ends up these two characters on going after each other for one reason or another, and I don't want to spoil why, what did it. I don't know if the trailer showed that or not, but I don't want to ruin it, but it's an extremely, extremely brutal movie. It almost seems like a kind of movie you would almost be surprised to see them in. John Travolta's character has this weird Russian accent, too. It's just real different for him. It's an extremely different part for Travolta, and I thought he did a really good job, but it will be off-putting to some people because it is so different, and he is so different than he ever is. But I really, really liked it. But like I said, though, it is so brutal that, you wouldn't even believe how far some of it is. The next one from Sony, and this is the fourth documentary. There's been all three of the Paradise Lost films. This is West of Memphis on the, Damon Eckhart, about the kids that were killed, and the three kids that were, blamed for it. They were kind of like, Marilyn Manson wasn't big at the time, but they were kind of like, had a goth kind of look, and kind of the people in the town that everybody was kind of picking on. It was kind of about, judging people on their looks. And these three kids that were blamed for the murder of these little kids, and, they had gotten out about 2 years ago. And this is a new documentary exploring the whole story about from the beginning, trying to, bring some more light into the whole thing. Peter Jackson produced this, and the thing is, I would compare this more as almost like a Hollywood take, a like cinematic, slick, well-produced kind of documentary on the story. When you look at the Paradise Lost ones, they almost were kind of produced with like the MTV generation vibe, with the music and the cutting and kind of the way it made you feel, like kind of like the whole vibe they were going for with the documentary was more of that true crime MTV thing kind of feel, which I really did love. Those documentaries, they were really well done about a terrible thing that happened to those kids, and the fact that still there's they kind of know who did it. They say it's, the one stepfather, but it kind of seems like I wish that, it would all get resolved. It's almost like the JonBenet Ramsey case, where it's almost like they're never going to know. But this was very well done documentary. And the stuff I liked too is at the end, when you saw them out of jail, about how they were kind of adapting. I have a feeling there's probably going to be a new Paradise Lost in about 10 years or something like that, showing them, where, them out of jail after all this time, and, what they're up to now, which I would love to see that. And, and talk to them more about, adapting to life out of jail. And, the show Rectify is almost like a similar idea of the kids, were accused of the crimes. The next one from Sony is one that the scene stealer of this movie is, Michael Cera. Michael Cera, lately has really been doing some pretty funny, like really pretty good stuff. Like in This Is the End, he steals the movie with he was only in it for like 5 minutes, but was so good in this. And this is the same thing with this movie. He is so good and so creepy and so weird in this movie. And it's magic. And stars, Emily Browning, who was in The Uninvited, and, the host, and a little bit of the host, and Juno Temple, who's been in everything lately, The Brass Teapot, just a whole bunch of different things, and Michael Cera. And it's about Juno Temple, who's going to, I believe it's Brazil, no, South America with her cousin. She ends up getting there, and the cousin ends up ditching her. She has to go and take this test, so Juno Temple's character has to go off with her cousin's 3 friends. And the friends are very peculiar, especially Jonah Hill. It's just one of those movies that, you don't know totally what's going on half the time. It's a very weird movie. You don't know... there's something going on with Juno Temple's character. She can't seem to handle this, is kind of hearing things and kind of going a little crazy and not adapting to the fact that, her cousin's gone, and kind of freaked out by everything. There's like a great line in this, when Juno Temple is trying to call Emily Browning's character on the phone, and she's like, "These people are sadists." It's just the way she said it, exactly like that. And then Michael Cera has a line when they're trying to hypnotize Juno Temple, and he's like, "Put your face in the fire." It's such a weird movie. It's one of those movies you don't know what's going on, you don't know the meaning of it, but you like it because it's so weird. I do kind of wish it was on, they put it out on Blu-ray, just because it's a very dark film and would look a lot better, I think, on Blu-ray, just because of the colors would be brighter. The next one from MPI and, the IFC Midnight Line is, this is actually, who was this? It was, David Cronenberg's son's film. I think it's his first feature. It definitely has a David Cronenberg vibe to it. It reminds me of something that he would do in like the 80s. The kind of movies he did. Almost like, I know his son wrote it, but it almost reminds me of almost just something that he didn't make, like a lost Cronenberg film. And it's antiviral. And it's just as strange and just as weird as David Cronenberg's movie, if not stranger. It's probably one of the top strangest movies I've seen in a number of years, just because it's so peculiar. It's all about the future and people, the obsession with celebrity. And this guy ends up working at this place where they kind of inject people with viruses that the celebrities have. Like, if a celebrity has herpes, and somebody with the celebrity got herpes from them. And it's all about these, like, they have these clinics where they have the viruses from, like, the top big celebrities. So almost like a Paris Hilton kind of character, or like an Angelina Jolie character. Like, it's basically about, like, the top biggest celebrities. And you can go there and, like, get the viruses from them to be closer to these celebrities. And this guy is kind of crazy. He's always taking his temperature. And he ends up going in there. He works at the place doing the viruses. And he ends up getting a call to collect blood from one of the big top celebrities there who's very sick. Ends up getting the blood and injecting himself with it so he can be closer to the celebrity. And he ends up injecting himself unknowingly with this virus. And it's all about what's going on and the bad, not a good thing that he did this. And about, in this world too, people are like eating steaks made out of like meat matter from celebrities. Like they take like celebrities like something or other and make steaks from it. And people are eating it like cannibals. It was very strange. But I liked it a lot, but it is so weird. And the next one is the docket from IFC MPI as well, and it's the My Amityville Horror. And I thought this was pretty good. It's a documentary about the son of the Amityville Horror case, the son from the family that moved in to the house afterwards and, talked about the hauntings and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of his take on the whole thing. It is interesting, you can't tell the way they're trying to, talk about the guy, though, because it's him telling a story, and comes across, too, in some places, like the people are believing that he's kind of making this up, some of it, or he's getting ideas from seeing the movies and kind of adding more things. So he was only like 7 years old when this happened. He was only in the house for 23 days, and they also talked to the woman who the Conjuring documentary was about, who has all the like evil artifacts that they take from the house, and they actually show in that room. It's pretty cool to see that stuff, and it is exactly the way James Wan film made the room look. I don't know if they used the same room or they let him take some of the items out for the movie, or I'm not sure on that. But this is an interesting thing. And the next one from E1 is Zombie Massacre, and this is from the directors of the film Eaters, which came out a couple months back. This is a fun zombie film. Uwe Ball, I think, produced it. He actually plays the President of the United States in this little cameo in it, and it was just kind of funny. And it's kind of funny, too, like, the people who are in, like, the U.S. Navy all have British accents and stuff, so it's kind of like, I guess it's supposed to be like a joke or like a spoof on the future or something like that, but it's about this weapon that ended up making the people in this town, turned them all into zombies, and because of it happened, they have to kind of cover it up. So these soldiers are sent in there who are going to get all this money for going in there. One of them's like someone who's been in jail. They let him out of jail to do this, and they send him there to end up detonating an atomic bomb and blow up the city. It's kind of about them having to get there, drop off the bomb, and get out. That's the main thing in it. But this thing about this, though, which is the best, is the effects. The person who did the makeup on the zombies is amazing. It's like some of the top zombies I've seen, like really thought out zombies. I mean, that's why to watch the movie, for the zombie effects, which are really well done. The next one from Accelerated Entertainment is Storm Surfers 3D, which is a documentary about these this guy who's like a surfer who really wants to surf this gigantic wave. His friend is a kind of a like a weather guy who can, predicts like when is the best time to do it. He mainly does it for surfers and things like that, predicting the best time for surfing, the best time for waves. And it's a really well done, though, 3D movie with some really good 3D shots of the waves. That's mainly what it is like them going surfing and like them leading up to it, but some great, 3D video. This is one too, like if you have a 3D TV, really would recommend it for that. It's got a bunch of behind the scenes on this. Just a really fun 3D movie about surfing and kind of about surfing this gigantic wave. Kind of like the wave in that, I didn't see the movie, but I think kind of the idea of like that Chasing Mavericks film. The next one from Image Entertainment, and this is an IMAX film. I don't know if I've seen this one in theaters before or not. I think it's from 2001. Really was a well done one called Ocean Man Extreme Dive, about these people who go diving without any air. They kind of have to go with one breath, and one guy kind of uses this weighted thing that kind of propels him down, and the one guy does a free dive as far down as he can. It's about them training and doing this dive. There's some amazing underwater stuff, especially with this one guy swimming under the water with dolphins, and how these people can go under there for all this time. I'd be interested in seeing, what these people are doing now, since this was 2001, if they're still doing this, or like I gotta look an update on what they're doing. But this is just a really well done IMAX film. I haven't seen an IMAX in so long. Like the first IMAX that I always remember was seeing the one about the, like the things, what they were, gophers or something like that. I don't even remember what they were anymore. I didn't even talk about those things anymore. Making beavers, making the dam, and that was like the first ever one I remember seeing. And if anybody knows if that's on DVD or Blu-ray or anything, let me know. I don't know if it is or not. The next one is from Image Entertainment as well, and it's Do Not Disturb. And I talked about this film a number of years back. It was originally released on a burn-on-demand release under the title New Terminal Hotel. And this is the new version. The opening is different. I like the opening better because you see the characters. Originally it was opened up over a black screen, and I think it's a little bit shorter, but it's about Stephen Joffrey's character, who's this writer trying to write his new horror screenplay. Tiffany Shepard is his agent, and getting kind of tired of him not producing a script. Stephen Joffrey ends up killing this one guy who's, I think, an agent as well. Kills him in the bathtub, and it's one of those movies, though, that very much feels like a play. It's all in this kind of crummy, like place where you stay for like per month, kind of in the slums, and he's out there kind of with very few people living in the place. The one thing too I will say is that for Tiffany Shepard, this is definitely one of, I would say, her top performances. Gets a lot of screen time in this, and has some really, really good scenes in this, really good music in this. Corey Haim is also in this as one of his. This is like technically this is one of the last release movies he was in, because the other one, not many people had seen that release. But this is just a really pretty good one. I really liked it. I liked it when I saw it before, and it's just about him writing the screenplay and kind of killing people and the investigation of it. Just a really well done, character piece on them. I don't know. I really do like this one. And the last ones I got is this one's from Vertical Entertainment. This one was kind of interesting watching this. I was like, I've been in that gym. The whole movie takes place in this gym. It's the same gym that they filmed the movie I was in for Sci-Fi Haunted High. So I was like, I remember like going to the craft service table over there. I remember sitting in there when I wasn't filming. I remember sitting over there talking to Danny Trejo. It was just kind of funny. I was like, I was in there for 3 weeks going in and out of that building. So it was just kind of funny. But it's about these these friends that used to be, basketball players, and it's basically about this breast cancer screening truck that's going to be shut down, and the one woman, played by Brooke Shields' character, doesn't like the idea that it's going to close down, so she ends up coming up with the idea of trying to raise money by getting together the old basketball team to raise money for the thing. It's just a fun movie. Wanda Sykes is really pretty funny in it. Virginia Madison is in it. It's about them trying to, her trying to get the group back together. They're all kind of doing their own thing, and haven't played basketball in years. Daryl Hannah's in it as well. It's just about like people trying to, raise money for the thing and, getting back together. Just a fun one. And the last one I got from Redemption Films from the Kino line is the Jess Franco film Virgin Among the Living Dead. It's about a woman that ends up getting called back to where she's from. She ended up living in an orphanage her whole life, never met her father, never really saw her family before. She ends up getting called back to hear the will of her father, ends up going back to this old castle. She's at the hotel asking for directions, and like, no one lives there. And they're all like, what are you talking about? There's nobody there. People in the neighborhood, or the town are saying there's nobody there. She ends up going back there to see these people, and it's these kind of weird people. It's very, very good music in this. But it's basically about, everyone in the house is like ghosts. And it's one of those kind of things. If you've seen Jess Franco's movies, it has that same kind of vibe that his movies do. Those kind of castle movies, kind of weird things going on. I don't know, though. I thought this was one of the better ones that I have seen from them. I would definitely recommend checking this out. The Virgin Among the Living Dead cut is the one where they add in these extra zombie scenes, which someone said was from Oasis of the Dead, but I didn't remember seeing those in that or not. But anyway, though, guys, thanks again for watching the new DVD Blu-ray update. Definitely give this video a thumbs up, share it around, and I'll see you guys later. And don't forget, August 22nd at 9, 8 Central, tune in for Ghost Shore.